A waitress accidentally spilled coffee on a rude customer who shoved her to the ground with violent force. Through tears and pain, she begged, "Please don't hit me. I'm already hurt." Nobody in the cafe moved to help until a quiet man in the corner stood up. And what he revealed shocked everyone. The ceramic mug shattered against the floor of Riverside Cafe as Maria Santos stumbled backward, hot coffee soaking through her worn uniform, the aggressive customer's hand still raised from shoving her. At 32 years old, Maria had endured countless indignities working service jobs to support her wheelchair-bound mother and 7-year-old daughter, but she'd never been physically assaulted at work. Her arm throbbed from where she'd hit the counter during her fall, old bruises from yesterday's double shift already aching, and now this man towered over her with rage in his eyes, his expensive suit and entitled demeanor marking him as someone who'd never faced consequences for cruelty. "Please don't hit me," Maria whispered, her voice breaking as she pressed against the wall, protecting her already injured body. "I'm already hurt. It was an accident. I'm so sorry." The cafe fell into terrible silence, 15 customers watching this brutality unfold without intervention, their discomfort evident, but their courage absent. The aggressive customer, Richard Morrison, sneered down at Maria with contempt that chilled the room. "Clumsy idiot. People like you shouldn't be allowed near decent establishments. You've ruined my suit. You'll pay for this, or I'll make sure you lose this pathetic job." In the corner booth, a man who'd been quietly reading his newspaper for the past hour slowly stood up, his faded jeans and simple gray sweater suggesting another working-class customer, someone Richard would normally dismiss without thought. But James Chen's eyes held something that made people instinctively step back, a quiet authority that transcended clothing or appearances. He walked toward the confrontation with measured steps, his voice calm but carrying weight that silenced Richard's threats. "That's enough. Step away from her now!" Richard turned, ready to dismiss this interference, but something in James's expression stopped him. "This doesn't concern you. Stay out of it." James positioned himself between Richard and Maria, helping her stand with gentle hands that contrasted sharply with the violence she'd just experienced. "It concerns everyone in this room. We all just watched you assault someone half your size for an accident." His voice remained quiet, but every word landed with precision. "The question is, are you going to leave peacefully, or do I need to call the police and show them the security footage of you shoving an employee?" Richard's face reddened with fury and embarrassment as customers who'd been frozen suddenly found their phones, several already recording. "Do you know who I am? I could buy this entire cafe. I could have you all fired." James's expression didn't change. "Actually, you couldn't because I already own it. My name is James Chen, and this is my establishment. You've just assaulted my employee in front of witnesses, and unless you leave immediately, I'm pressing charges for assault and battery." The cafe erupted in shocked whispers as Richard's confidence crumbled, his entitled rage meeting consequences for perhaps the first time. He grabbed his briefcase and stormed out, threats dying in his throat as he realized the quiet man he'd dismissed held all the power. James turned to Maria with concern, replacing his earlier authority. "Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention?" Maria couldn't speak through her tears, not from pain, but from the overwhelming relief of finally having someone defend her dignity. James called his manager over, instructing immediate medical care for Maria and paid leave while she recovered. Then he did something unprecedented. He called an all-staff meeting for that evening, his purpose clear in ways that would transform not just Maria's life, but the entire cafe's culture. That night, with Maria resting and every employee gathered, James shared his truth. "I've been working undercover here for 3 weeks, wanting to understand my business from the ground up. What I've learned disgusts me." He looked at each face, seeing the exhaustion and resignation that came from survival mode service work. "Maria isn't the first person to be mistreated here. She's just the first whose abuse I personally witnessed. But I've heard the stories. Customers who snap fingers, who leave messes deliberately, who treat you like you're invisible or less than human. That changes today." James outlined immediate reforms that left the staff speechless. Hourly wages increased to living wage standards, health insurance for all employees, profit-sharing program, mandatory respect training for customers with lifetime bans for anyone who abused staff. This cafe will be a place where workers are protected, not just employed, James continued. Where customers understand that kindness isn't optional, it's required. And where people like Maria are valued, not victimized. He paused, emotional weight in his voice. My mother was a waitress for 20 years. She came home with stories like Maria's more times than I can count. I watched her dignity get chipped away by people who thought money gave them permission to be cruel. I built this business to honor her, and I've failed if my employees experience what she endured. 3 months later, Maria stood behind the counter of the transformed Riverside Cafe, now serving as assistant manager with wages that let her afford physical therapy for her mother and private school for her daughter. The cafe had become known citywide for its respect is required policy, with customer reviews praising both the food and the unprecedented dignity with which staff were treated. James had kept his promise, and the ripples extended beyond one business. 5 other restaurant owners had adopted similar policies after hearing Maria's story. Richard Morrison never returned, but James heard through industry contacts that the incident had cost Richard his corporate position when video of his assault went viral, his company unwilling to be associated with such behavior. Maria didn't celebrate his downfall, but she found peace knowing that bullies eventually faced consequences. That silence enabled cruelty, but courage stopped it. And that sometimes the person who saves you is the one who understands your pain because they've watched someone they loved suffer the same indignities, proving that real leadership isn't about profit margins, but about protecting human dignity. That businesses thrive when workers are valued. And that the most powerful thing anyone can do is stand up when someone whispers, "Please don't hurt me," because those desperate words should never go unanswered in any civilized society.